Ireland has been a country that draws in millions of tourists every year, with more Americans also visiting more frequently in the last few years. And this is all within good reason, as Ireland is a fascinating country that is well deserving of the attention. Hello everybody, my name is Trevor of Quest with Trev and Lex, and I have gone to Ireland twice in my life, and most recently in 2024, where I thankfully got to expand a little bit more out in the country and really get to experience Ireland in its full glory. And without further ado, that brings us right into our first point, which is please make sure to visit more than just Dublin on your trip to Ireland. Now, that isn't meant to be a knock on Dublin. Dublin is a fantastic city, but so are many other places like Galway and Cork and Dingle, just to name a few. And the best part is you will not be disappointed with any of them. For example, Galway is a gorgeous city that is very vibrant and really captures the glory that Ireland has to offer, as well as many pubs and shops along the Latin Quarter and many other places to visit and museums to see, as well as walking along the promenade along Galway Bay, where you can really take in some really gorgeous views. Another really cool area to visit would be Dingle, along the Dingle Peninsula in the western part of the country, where you can get more of a coastal experience, and again, a lot of really cool pubs and shops and live music to offer in this beautiful little small town along the Wild Atlantic Way. And in all honesty, we really love that whole western part of the country, as there's so much to offer over there. As I mentioned, the Dingle Peninsula, but also the Ring of Kerry, the Cliffs of Moher. We've got great places along there like the Gap of Dunloe, which is by far one of our favorite places in all of Ireland. And I just wish we had a little bit more time to explore more parts of the country, specifically in the more northern parts. And we just felt like we just barely scratched the surface after going kind of from Dublin into the south to Cork and then back up the western part towards Galway before we headed back to Dublin. And what made this all possible, to be able to kind of jump around to all these different cities during our time over there, brings me into my next point, which is don't be afraid to drive while you're in Ireland. Yes, they do drive on the left side of the road and on the right side of the car, which is going to be pretty foreign to most people who are watching this video. Obviously, if you are from somewhere along the British Isles or anywhere on that part of the country, that part of the world, you will be kind of accustomed to it. But for us Americans and pretty much everybody else, it's going to feel weird for a little while. However, the best part of renting your own car is it allows you so much freedom to go out and explore this country and see it for its true beauty. It took me about 30 minutes or so to really start to feel more comfortable in driving on the wrong side of the road. It was a little tense in the beginning, but thankfully it didn't take too long to get adjusted. I think it also is important to note that rental cars can be a bit pricey. Not the car per se itself, those are pretty standard prices. However, you're going to have to pay on the insurance, as your insurance will not work in a country like Ireland. It's one of the few countries that is the case, so you might have to fork over a little bit more extra money. So it can start to become a bit pricey. However, like I said, it led to some of my more favorite memories in our whole trip when we went in 2024. We got to be a little bit more spontaneous in our ventures there, and so we got to even hop off the road real quick if we saw something of interest. I had done some research ahead of time and saw that Kilkenny was on our drive down from Dublin to Cork, and so I wanted to stop there and see what that was all about. And there's a gorgeous castle there. There's a lot of events going on while we were there, so that was really cool to see as well. And then to kind of further go along that, we went from Cork up to Dingle and got to stop at many cool places, including the Blarney Castle, which is a must-see. The grounds and the castle are phenomenal. And then further up, we even got to stop at the Gap of Dunloe, which isn't too far from there. And again, like I mentioned earlier, the Gap of Dunloe is probably our favorite place that we saw while we were there. Just absolutely gorgeous. The lake, the mountains that kind of line up the gap, as well as the sheep that are being grazing upon the grass in that area. It's just so much fun. We even saw a couple horses. It was truly magnificent. But I also want to mention that if you cannot rent a car, again, it can be pricey, that the buses and the train systems over in Ireland are also very easy to use and very friendly and can be very timely. So, and it'll be obviously a lot less money for you to have to spend to get to enjoy all these different things. Just know that you will be sacrificing more of that spontaneity and ability to do what you would like to do. Before continuing on, if you would like to know more about my experience with driving over in Ireland, specifically as an American and someone who does not drive on that side of the road, feel free to check out the video at the top of the screen where I can go in more depth about what that experience was like to help you out while you were over there. So on to the next tip. I'm not really sure I've seen other people mention this before in their videos about their tips of Ireland. Listen to the radio. If you have that rental car, make sure to listen to the radio while you're driving around to all these different locations you'll be going to. It was probably one of my favorite experiences. Honestly, the radio hosts are really fun to listen to, and it really felt like I got a little bit more immersed into the culture just listening to what was going on in the rest of the country. And honestly, the biggest positive of all of it was it helped alleviate some otherwise stressful times for us when we're trying to find out where the heck we're going, or when the roads got more narrow. Hearing the song I See You Baby, I don't know if you've heard that song before, but if you haven't, I highly recommend checking it out. But it's just a goofy song that came on and helped make me feel a little bit less tense in those otherwise tense times. On to the next thing. The weather can be very unpredictable. You can have some days where it's sunny when you wake up, then all of a sudden clouds start rolling in, the wind will pick up a little bit, then you'll have some rain falling, and then it can lead to hail. You could have a whole wide range of different precipitation in a matter of hours. I guess the good thing is the temperatures in themselves are usually very mild. You're not going to have wide ranges like you do here in the US, where you could wake up and it's 40 degrees Fahrenheit and 75 degrees Fahrenheit in the afternoon. But it is going to obviously rain a lot there too. They get a bad rap over in Ireland for the high amounts of rain, but obviously it is a thing that happens quite frequently. So make sure to bring an umbrella and a rain jacket. Make sure to layer up, okay? So that way if it does get sunny, you can take off one of those layers and feel a little bit more free. And then when it gets cold again, you can throw that back on and get your umbrella out when it rains. But I suppose the nice thing about their high levels of rain, it does make everything else around the country absolutely gorgeous. So there's a positive side to that, is it makes it so green and pretty and colorful. And another positive side of things, especially for my fellow Americans, is that they don't really have thunderstorms over there. Like we get them like it's nothing over here in the US. They happen all the time. Most of their rain is pretty light to moderate and really easy to manage. Just a heads up, if you do head out towards the Cliffs of Moher or along that Wild Atlantic Way, you are getting direct contact into pretty heavy winds at times. So that's where that layering also is going to become pretty important, as that wind does make it a little bit more chilly. Another big thing to remember is that Ireland and Northern Ireland are two separate countries. Northern Ireland is a part of the UK. They use the British pound as a part of their currency. So that is one thing, if you do plan to go up there, you might have to carry a couple of different currencies, as the Republic of Ireland is a part of the EU and they use the euro. Now, I'm not going to much detail about the separation and why that exists. That can be for another video, but basically there was differences in the 1900s and obviously leading up to that for many, many years, where they finally decided with those religious and political beliefs to kind of be more separate, and that allowed the Republic of Ireland to become its own entity. But what I can say is, if you do have the time to visit both, please go up and check out Northern Ireland. It is very pretty. They're on the same land. You got the Giant's Causeway up in the north, as well as Belfast is a great city. That's where the Titanic took off for the last time. That's a big famed portion of that, and I do highly recommend checking out the museum. Some people I had seen said don't check it out, but I honestly thought it was a really fulfilling and emotional experience that I recommend for you to do. But back on to the Republic of Ireland. You need to make sure to communicate with the locals and the rest of the Irish people. They are incredibly friendly people and really fun to talk to. They're hilarious. They've got jokes. They really want to know about you. We've had many conversations with people in pubs all across the country and other places as well, but mainly in pubs. But they were such fantastic people. They joked with us the whole time. We joked back with them. It was really a lot of fun. But they even gave us some really good recommendations for us to check out while we were on vacation, on holiday. And one of those included places like Dick Mac's Pub in Dingle. We talked to our bartender in Cork, and he was like, "Yeah, guys, this is probably the best pub in all of Ireland." So naturally we had to go and check it out. So we went, and if you do find yourself over in Dingle, Dick Mac's is a really, really unique place. Not really many places I've seen like it. Between the whole layout, it feels like I'm in like somebody's house. I don't know, it was really different, and the beers were fantastic, but it does get a bit full there, so just know that if you do go, you might have to have a hard time finding somewhere to sit, but highly recommend checking it out. And while you are checking out all these different types of pubs and enjoying and fully immersing into that experience, try some local beers, have lots of Guinness, have lots of Smittix. Obviously, you're going there. The most famous beer is going to be Guinness, and I had my fair share of them. But also just make sure to drink responsibly. Don't be dumb. Okay, don't get fully immersed into the experience, because if you do have to hop in that rental car, it could be pretty challenging. So just as a heads up, be smart. As some more like standard tips, if you are visiting Ireland, you can get quite a bit done in a week. It will be a bit rushed, but I would highly recommend kind of pushing that out to more like 10 days where you can take your time and really see each thing and the beauty of the country. Again, we spent about 6 days going from Dublin around up to Galway and then across, and saw multiple really cool things, but we did feel like we had to kind of rush it just a little bit, and it left us from missing the more northern parts of the country, where we really didn't get to experience that as much. Now, obviously, you're not going to be able to see everything. You could spend 20 days there, 30 days there, and obviously still not see everything. But it leaves you more to go back and visit when you do eventually plan that trip in the future as well. Now, another thing is hotels can be very pricey in Ireland, especially in Dublin and Galway. Those are obviously the more popular cities there in Ireland. Just be more aware that if you do want to stay more towards the city center, it's going to cost you quite a bit. It actually kind of shocked me about how much it costed. So don't be afraid to stay a little bit more outside the city center. Stay in a hostel if you're able to. We stayed in a couple hostels. We had 4 of us, so we just got a 4-person room. Or there's really cool Airbnbs as well all across the country. We stayed in one a little bit more to the west of Galway that was amazing. His name's Padraig. If you look it up on Airbnb, he was amazing. On to the next tip, which is kind of a more common one across all my videos, but you're going to want to make sure you bring a good pair of shoes. Now, more specifically to a place like Ireland, you're going to want to bring a pair of shoes that you don't mind getting dirty as well. If you really want to fully immerse yourself and see the beauty that this country has to offer, you're going to get out into some places that are going to be a little bit wet, a little bit dirty, and so those shoes are also going to get wet and dirty. So just as a heads up, I want to bring a couple pairs of shoes, one of them specifically to get a little bit more dirty. And then another part that I do mention in a lot of my videos is the early bird does get the worm. So if you want to see a lot of these sites without having a ton of people there, make sure to get up early and go explore them. For example, we got to see the Blarney Castle pretty early in the morning. There wasn't a whole lot of people there. There was honestly probably about 25 people there around the whole grounds. And I do recommend, make sure if you go to the Blarney Castle, you don't just go to the castle and kiss the Blarney Stone. Walk all around the grounds. They're beautiful. The gardens are gorgeous. There's a lot of sea around there. We didn't run into a whole lot of people when we were walking around there. So I feel like it's a highly missed spot that you need to check out, not just the castle, but the grounds. We also got to be up early for the Gap of Dunloe. There was maybe 5 people around the rest of the Gap. And again, that was our favorite spot probably in all of Ireland. It was gorgeous just walking around the Gap and seeing, again, the horses and the sheep and all that. So it's a much more enjoyable experience there when you don't have people walking around and getting in the way. The next thing, if you do plan on visiting the Cliffs of Moher, which obviously I highly recommend you do because it is a very stunning and amazing experience, please make sure to stay away from the edge. There are barricades lining all along the cliffs. Stay behind them because you do unfortunately hear every so often, it doesn't happen as much as maybe as it used to, but it is a rarity where people will hop up and unfortunately lead to some very scary circumstances. So I'd hate to see anything like that happen to you. So it's going to be best to stay behind the barricades. There's going to be signs all along that say to stay behind them, so please listen to them. There's also going to be signs for a helpline, a phone number. So if you do find yourself to be in a really tough mental space, please use that line if you do find yourself out there and those thoughts kind of start to battle with you. I want you to know that you are loved and that you are needed on this earth. And as for our time together today on this video, that will come to a close, but if you'd like to keep watching, and I highly recommend you do, especially that driving video, it's a fun one to kind of prepare you for your driving over in Ireland. But you can also check out this video right here where I talk about why I love the UK. So if you do plan on extending that trip from Ireland into the United Kingdom, check out that video where I kind of discuss the things that I love about going and visiting the British Isles. So otherwise, that's all I got for you guys today. Please like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.